right, this is our pre-calculus trigonometry in-class practice number 3. And this is a fun one to do because I'm giving you a curve and it said, please write 3 different formulas for this. And this is going to involve shifts, horizontal shifts. As you can see, if I were to look at y right here, I can tell you right now, if I was going to trace the curve, it looks like it's been shifted to the left, or you can talk to the right. So I'm going to do 3 different ones here. I'm going to use different colors, so hopefully you can see how I'm doing this. All right, so the first one I'm going to use red. And what I'm going to do is actually look at the curve from here to here, okay? Now, the only thing I don't like about this graph, it kind of skips around. This is 2 pi over 3, 4 pi over 3. So you have to understand that in between here, this is pi over 3. So this would be negative pi over 3 would be here, okay? And then if this is 4 pi over 3, and this is basically, if you think of it as 6 pi over 3, this would be 5 pi over 3. So if you look at, this is negative, sorry, that if you look between a negative pi over 3, so I have pi over 3 here, adding a 5 pi, this is a 2 pi overall, just so you see that. So I look at it, and it looks like it's starting high. It looks like cosine. So I'm going to say, looks like. And the first graph we're going to do looks like cosine. So I'm going to stack and rack amplitude, frequency, period, and midline, okay? All right, so first thing, I'm going to take the high, we're going to do our midline, the high, which is 0, plus the low, negative 2 divided by 2. So y equals negative 1, looks like our midline. So this is going to be for all of the graphs because it's still the same graph no matter what, but y equals negative 1 is going to be our midline, okay? Our amplitude is high minus my midline, 0 minus a negative 1 is a positive 1. My period, we already said, if I went from negative pi over 3 to a 5 pi, overall I have 6 pi over 3. So my period is 2 pi, which equals 2 pi over my frequency, and which is 2 pi over 2 pi, so my frequency is 1. So looking at it right now, if I were to go from here to here in the red only, I could write this equation the following way. And they have y equals cosine, and they're using an x here, so it's going to be cosine x, and because it's been shifted to the left, it's going to be plus pi over 3, and and this should be negative 1, not equals 1. Y equals negative 1. Sorry about that. Okay, so I found one way to write that equation. Okay, so that's the first way. Number 2, so I'm going to use a different color. I'm going to use blue. Okay, number 2, I want to look at this curve, okay, from, all right, because you can pick it anywhere you want if it's shift. So I'm going to go here, okay, from here. Oh, sorry, let me undo that. I'm a little off. From here to here, okay. Now, if I look at that graph from here to here, this is a negative, okay, 4 pi over 3. This is a positive 2 pi over 3. Our period, everything is still the same. It's still going to be 2 pi. It's just I'm looking at a different place. So the shift changes and what kind of function it looks like. So if I did this one right here, if it still looks like a cosine function, but it's going to look like, in this case, because it's starting low, negative cosine, because it's starting low and coming up. Then I'm going to do amplitude, frequency, period, and midline. Okay, now I'm going to tell you the period's still 2 pi. My frequency is still 1. My amplitude, if I still do all that work, my amplitude is going to be still the same midline, still 1. And my midline's still 1. So the only difference between the blue and the red that I did is that it's shifted over, and now it looks like negative cosine. So this one would look like the following. Okay, I would say y equals negative cosine x. Now I'm shifted over, ready? I kind of covered that up. Negative, this is negative 4 pi over 3, so it turns positive. X plus 4 pi over 3 minus 1. Okay, so that's the second way you could do this function, which is kind of interesting. The third one is a little bit harder to see. And I'm going to show this to you, but I'm not going to go through the whole thing. So I'm going to use green. And I'm going to do sine function. So sine starts at midline. So I'm going to go from here. Oops, undo this. I'm going to use a different color. From here all the way to here. And the only problem with this grid, this is why I don't really want to do this, is you could look at it from there to there, but you're like, what is that? Well, it really is right here, 5 pi over 6, because it's even in between those two. So the last one, I'm just going to put it here, is you got to trust me on this. I just don't think their scale is really good. That it's the same curve. It's the same frequency, the same amplitude, the same period. But now I'm just going to say for number 3 that it looks like sine. So I'm going to say y equals sine, but now it's been shifted over 5 pi over 3. So it's going to be plus because it's to the left. And that's 3 of the ways that I could do this one, because the shift was to the left, and you can't really see it with the scale. That's why I'm not going through the whole thing, is 5 pi over 6. So that right there are the 3 ways, 3 of the many ways that I can do this curve. You could actually keep going and going and going and go to the right more, but I just used what they gave us. Okay? So that's the end of this video.